Hey guys, what's up? We're back with some more Warframe action, and today we're going to be looking at the most used Warframes and weapons over the past 6 years. Specifically, the Warframes and the weapons that I have used the most over the past 6 years. Now, this idea came about after watching a Tactical Potato video. He actually did this whole thing, so I figured this would be an interesting exercise in looking at what I have been doing over the past 6 years as a 6-year veteran. So let's jump into it. Now, there will be some that are surprising, there will be some that are not surprising. So, we are going to sort everything by used. Here we go. The most used Warframe is Mag Prime. No surprises there. The Platinum Arrow continues to be strong. The Platinum Arrow remains to be strong. Let's have a look at what other Warframes I have used the most. Number 2 and number 3 are Banshee and Valkyrie. Both of these most likely are attributed to the 2014-15 period where I kind of parked Mag for a while and I started to use Banshee and Valkyrie a lot. But then Banshee Prime and Valkyrie Prime showed up and then I stopped using them. Like, I have Banshee Prime and Valkyrie Prime, I just don't use them. So yeah, Mag Prime will probably not be overtaken in a very long time. I would have thought that at one point Oberon Prime would be getting up there, or maybe Limbo Prime, but they're not even close to Banshee and Valkyrie. Limbo Prime not even used enough to overtake regular Mag, who I think I got rid of in favor of Mag Prime like early 2014. I don't know. So yeah, that's what's happened. Alrighty, most used weapon is Paris Prime. No surprises there. The Platinum Arrow is in fact more arrow than Warframe. Platinum Arrow, the Paris Prime rather, being used 35.5% more, 35.5%, sorry. Mag Prime being used 31.5%. That also means that there are plenty of times where I use Paris Prime and some other Warframe. When I'm using Mag, I do switch between Sonos Prime, Lens, etc, but apparently not enough. So for the time being, Paris Prime overtaking Mag Prime in terms of percentage used. If we look at the primary weapons, this is not going to surprise anyone. The first 3 primary weapons that I use the most are in fact all bows. Fantastic. However, there is a massive drop between 35.5% and 8.6%. Of course, the Dread is actually a sleeper here, a real sleeper in this list, because I haven't used the Dread in like 4 years. It's 2019. I haven't used the Dread in like 3 years. Like I genuinely have not brought this thing out. If it was on a shelf, it would be covered in dust. If I brought it out and I washed it, it would be sticky from the dust. Like, this thing has not seen the light of day in 3 years. I haven't even got like a proper build on this. Like, I don't think I've given it enough former to fill all the slots with fully ranked mods. That makes sense. Obviously, I can fill it with all the 60/60 mods if I want to be really stupid. But no, I haven't like sorted this weapon out at all. And yet this is somehow my second most used weapon. That's a bit sus. Sonos Prime being number 3, no surprises there. And then of course another sleeper being Boltor Prime at number 4. This would have to be attributed to the heyday, the golden age of Boltor Prime, when it was the strongest weapon in the game. A weapon that could easily decimate Lephantis at regular level, of course. Similarly to Soma Prime, these days this weapon is kind of dead. Nobody cares about Boltor Prime anymore, in much the same way that nobody cares about Soma Prime anymore, because there is a weapon that supersedes it or succeeds it. It's Super Vandal, really good. So yeah, like at some point, Lens being at number 5 is going to overtake Boltor Prime, and I reckon Sonos Prime at some point is going to overtake Dread. So it's not gonna be too long before this list makes a lot more sense. Alrighty, in terms of secondary weapons, this is the real shenanigans right now. Ak Vasto Regular being my most used secondary weapon. I have absolutely no idea how this happened. no idea how this happened. I have not used Act Faster Regular in 5 years probably. I have not brought these out in ages. The only time, maybe the last time I brought them out was right before I got Act Faster Prime, so I don't really count that. The last time I have seriously used this weapon would have to be like 2015. Like, oh my god, and yet this has somehow managed to retain the #1 spot in terms of secondary weapons. Clearly I don't care about secondary weapons. If we have a look at the list of secondary weapons, there are like 2 other sleepers here taking #2 and #4 spots. Sicarus Prime. I have not used the Sicarus Prime like way before the patch that made it really good, the Shrine of the Eidolon update. Sicarus Prime is apparently really good, but I don't know. I don't know. I have not used this weapon prior to that. I have not used this weapon since forever. So it's kind of surprising that it's managed to maintain the #2 spot at 11.5%, slightly less usage than Act Faster Regular. Coming in at #3 at 10.1% is You Bone Her Prime. No surprises there. In fact, the only surprise is that it's not higher, so I think with the passage of time, as a function of time, You Bone Her Prime will reach the #1 spot reasonably soon. Especially if I decide to swap Sinnoh Gamma Core with You Bone Her Prime, but a little unlikely unless I decide to play way more arbitration, in which case I might actually swap the two, because shooting those bloody drones using a bow is really annoying, and Sinnoh Gamma Core for some reason takes way too long to kill one, whereas You Bone Her Prime seems to work. Having a 5-shot magazine seems to help. Twin Vipers at #4. I have absolutely no idea how this happened, because the Twin Vipers is a weapon that I must have received really early. In fact, I'm pretty sure I received this super duper early, and then I decided to unironically use this weapon for a while in like 2013, before I found like some other weapon that is heaps better than the regular Twin Vipers, causing the Twin Vipers to basically be a glorified nail puncher. Staple puncher. Staple gun. Oh my god, that's the word I'm looking for. The Twin Vipers are nothing more than a glorified staple gun. I have the Twin Vipers Wraith, don't care. Even more glorified staple gun. So yeah, like the fact that this is #4 is shocking. Sitting at 9.8%, 9.6% is Sinnoh Gamma Core, so as a function of time, I should be seeing Sinnoh Gamma Core surpass Twin Vipers very soon. And in terms of the melee weapon, most used melee weapon is Galatine Prime, no surprises there. Really nice looking weapon. It's fast, doesn't do as much damage per swing as Grand Prime, but it's way faster than Grand Prime. I still prefer Galatine Prime over Grand Prime Sumi. And then Prisma Obex being #2, no surprises there. I used to use the Prisma Obex a lot, and I mean a lot, with Mag Prime and other Warframes that couldn't heal, so a good old-fashioned healing return build, really effective with that really fast, like, punch rate. These days with melee 2.997 rather, I don't care about this weapon anymore, simply because of the really low block damage reduction, so I've decided to use Sigma and Octanus, or literally anything else. It might even make more sense for me to bring out Galatine Prime on Mag, but I don't think it looks all that good. I could be swayed either way. So yeah. What's really interesting is Bow Prime and Orthos Prime still somehow maintaining the #4 or 5 spot, because I only used these weapons in like 2013-14. I bought Bow Prime early, and then I made Orthos Prime. I remember doing that, farming those two, like farming the two ends and then the stick in the middle. Oh my god, that was really annoying. Back when tower keys were a thing. Does anybody remember that? So yeah. Orthos Prime not being used as much as Bow Prime makes sense to me, because Bow Prime had the added functionality of coptering back in the old days, and then even with the movement changes after coptering, Bow Prime was still a far superior weapon in terms of movement than Orthos Prime. These days, Bow Prime, nobody cares, and I can see why. It's kind of weak. Hopefully we see some buffs when Melee 3.0 eventually wraps up. Similarly to Orthos Prime, although people still use Orthos Prime because of its long range. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case these days, but still, Orthos Prime still gets a bit of discussion, so I might crack that open from time to time, but these two weapons are definitely collecting dust. Alrighty, now in terms of Sentinels, real quick. Carrier being the most used Sentinel is not surprising. What's probably surprising to some of you is that Helios Prime is being used more than Carrier Prime for me, and that's only because Mag's passive being the bullet jump vacuum meant that for the longest time I didn't actually care about Carrier Prime or Carrier in fact, and these days I still don't care about Carrier Prime or Carrier because I use bows, and bows tend to not run out of arrows except for maybe open world stuff like Orb Valis or Blades of Eidolon. Otherwise, don't care about that whole ammo mutation thing that carriers have. So, I guess as a function of time, as a function of time, like a function of a lot of time actually, Helios Prime will eventually overtake Carrier. Prisma Shade will probably at some point overtake Carrier Prime, and then Carrier Prime will be sitting at number 4. No surprises there. Actually, Carrier will be sitting at number 4 at some point, but it'll take a lot of time for that to happen. And yeah, cool. And in terms of the Sentinel weapon, Burst Laser somehow being number 1, I have no idea. Probably because I kept using it before I got Prime Laser Rifle, and now I haven't used Burst Laser in forever. So yeah, interesting stuff. Alright, this was really interesting. Maybe you should have a look at Warframes that you use the most, the weapons that you use the most, especially the secondary weapons apparently. Let me know what you guys use the most in the comments below. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you really enjoy it, maybe consider subscribing to the channel, and as always, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.